We'll always go and research and find things. Well, Ralph Gonsalves, you see, when you jump in people thing, you have to declare any and all interests. Ralph Gonsalves, before you jump in the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, to try to lecture the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa on anything that doesn't involve you. She is duly elected in Trinidad and Tobago to forge the foreign policy, the security policy, and any policy in Trinidad and Tobago, to set up the cabinet, run the government. How you jump in, Ralph Gonsalves? And why you jump in like a PNM so? Did you declare any interest? Did you receive any benefit from the PNM? Any benefit whatsoever that may have people in Trinidad and Tobago scratching their bald head like me? Ralph Gonsalves, I ask you, are you married, Ralph Gonsalves? How long have you been married? Do you have 2 children, Ralph Gonsalves? Are your children's names Sole Gonsalves and Storm Gonsalves? Is your wife's name Eloise Gonsalves? I ask this because Honorable Prime Minister of St Vincent and the Grenadines, did you disclose to Trinidad and Tobago, to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and to the people of St Vincent and CARICOM, that when you are speaking, you have received, your family has received great benefit from the PNM? And to the members of the PNM, to Keith Rowley, and to the former ministers of housing, and those hired by the PNM to conduct housing policy in Trinidad and Tobago, where after 9.5 years, a paltry 4,775 houses were built. The list of applicants waiting and begging for housing in Trinidad and Tobago now stands at 214,000 citizens. To the PNM, to Rowley, and to Ralph Gonsalves, are these documents that I hold in my hand belonging to the family of Ralph Gonsalves? This letter to Storm Gonsalves, dated the 21st of August 2018, from the HDC, the Housing Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago, saying, letter of offer of sale of property at Victoria Keys, Unit 1E, Tower 2, Unit Type, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. This document for Storm
Good afternoon, citizens of TNT. My name is Renison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live on the Workers' Rights Network. Now, a normal absence would have been noticed by a lot of you. But today, I decided to crawl out of the hole. Before April, good afternoon to you that are joining us here live. Today is the 14th of the 11th month, 2025. Now is exactly 20 minutes after the hour of 1 o'clock. Now, I hope the many of you that are outside there, I pray that you glean facts from fiction, and the Father really open your eyes that you could see what is going on with our beloved Trinidad and Tobago. Now this minister, Anil Roberts, have been known to be misleading Trinidad and Tobago for quite some time. It was under his ministry that millions of dollars in corruption would have been siphoned out of your pockets, the pockets of your children, your family, and to every one of you that is struggling today in Trinidad and Tobago. Please bear in mind that it was underneath the Honorable Senator Anil Roberts, millions of your tax-paying dollars lost just like that was given away to corruption. And only because it had a board there, and this man is so bold-faced to come here to give people advice here in this country. So to you, Trinidad and Tobago, as I say, I pray that your eyes is open and you see the truth and you see the lies a mile away, that people like them are unable to penetrate your mind. Because if you don't believe the truth, the Father say, I will send a strong delusion that they will believe the lie more than the truth. And we have reached a place here in Trinidad and Tobago that lies is normalized in this country. You know why? Because plenty of the leaders and them that we place our trust in have stole out for nothing, for absolutely nothing. So Trinidad and Tobago, pay astute attention to what you are seeing here on this platform here this evening. And when I say that, I say all. So let me go back into the clip, that so the many of you could understand what is taking place here in our beloved country of Trinidad and Tobago. So before I go on, I would like to thank the many people that are out there that support this platform, that support me, and support the initiative that we would have placed to you, the public, because plenty of you, I don't know you, but yet still I am grateful for your presence and for your ever support and encouragement in what we are doing here today. And even if one person listened, I would have walked away with my hands clean. You can't convince everybody. But I pray that the veil is released from your eyes. I pray prosperity on the many of you that is struggling, healing. To the many of you, I'm not perfect. But yet still, I walk through the fire like most of you, and I could understand the life. So without further ado, let's head back right into the show. And trust me, this is something that you need to listen to. Follow me on this journey. Thanks to you, the brothers and sisters, the many of you that is in the chats like me. Altia, thanks for being here this afternoon under the short notice.
Gonzalez of an HDC house in Trinidad and Tobago at Victoria Keys, signed by former HDC director in 2018, Brent Lyons. Ralph Gonzalez, is that your son? He stated here that he is an an app development company, and he's a businessman and so on, and that he makes $25,000 exactly per month. You know that the policy in Trinidad and Tobago at the HCC is if you make 25,001 cents, you do not qualify to apply for HDC housing. This here also is another HDC house to an Eloise Gonzalez, a housing development corporation house built with taxpayers' money of the people of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Ralph Gonzalez, is Eloise Gonzalez your wife? Is she in receipt of an HDC house from the PNM? Mr. Ralph Gonzalez, is Soleil Gonzalez your daughter? Is she also in receipt of an HDC house from the PNM paid for per month by you, Ralph Gonzalez? And in these documents, Ralph Gonzalez, I'm not going to ask you some questions because it's all here. Ralph Gonzalez, your entire family getting house in Trinidad and Tobago from the PNM, your wife, your son, and your daughter, $1.9 million for one, $1.96 million for one, another one for $1.625 million, and another one for $1.3 million, totaling $4.885 million of Trinidad and Tobago taxpayers' value, but it's greater value than that because these houses are subsidized. So the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the taxpayers, paid extra for those houses that you and your family were so lucky to get under the PNM. You see, you should have stayed out of we business, we domestic affairs, because now you have a lot of explaining to do, Mr. Ralph Gonzalez. Because the benefit derived to you just on the value of those three properties is 1.25 million TT dollars in savings. Do you have something akin to the Integrity in Public Life Act forms in St. Vincent? Did you declare these three assets given to you, gifted to you? You luckily, your family so lucky, luckier than Trinbagonians. 3 out of 3, 100% you batting at Ralph Gonzalez. Now I can understand why you talk like a PNM, Ralph Gonzalez. Well, let me ask you some questions. Since you like to talk, you say politics is not about entertainment. It's very serious business. And you need serious leaders to run a country. And it mustn't be about entertainment. Well, don't entertain yourself. Entertain these questions here, Ralph Gonzalez. Is your wife named Eloise? Do you have 2 children, Storm Gonzalez and Soleil Gonzalez? Did any of your family, your wife, your daughter, and your son apply in Trinidad and Tobago to the HDC for purchase and or rental of HDC houses? If so, when and where? Who in the PNM government advised you to apply for HDC housing for your family members? Or does the HDC under the PNM advertise in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? And if so, how many other citizens in St. Vincent and the Grenadines applied for housing in Trinidad and Tobago?
Good afternoon again, Trinidad and Tobago. As I would have said, today is the 14th of the 11th month, 2025. Many of us here in Trinidad and Tobago would have seen that clip. And many of us here in this country accustomed lying to ourselves. And when people lie to us, We take that too. But a lie is a lie no matter where it come from or no matter who it come from. Many of you have been depressed. And the only voice would have spoken out to you at a particular time. When there was pretending was the UNC. But lo and behold, the mass that was proudly won by many of them, the syndicates and them, plenty of them is watching at it with disgust. And many of them today are very ashamed of admitting that fact, because many of you outside there want social approval from these people. So when we hear Anil Roberts every single time scandalize the way in which he do certain things, we see that as theater, as entertainment, not understanding the seriousness behind these statements. Anil Roberts is a known drunk in Trinidad and Tobago. Known. And I say that without parley. I say that without even self-studying about any repercussions that might come after, a matter of fact. The truth must be truthed.
I know. I know. I know.
Yo.
Here's her truth. I know.
Look.
Hi, Anil.
How you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, nice day.
Nice meeting you. Enjoy your carnival.
Yeah.
That is the man that many of you run to get commentary. He talk funny, he show aggression. That person next to him there is his wife. And to the many people that was there on the streets would have seen a drunkard. This thing here is so serious that the words of Anil Roberts cannot be accredited on no platform. It's the reason why I am here today. Just the other day, Anil Roberts would have ended up in an accident, and the person that he would have ended up in the collision would die. And knowing that this is the state of the man, knowing that this is the man's demeanor on many sightings, this one included in the public domain by plenty of the people in Trinidad and Tobago, this is the man. He have been seen engaging in criminal activities on camera. Now we could say, well, you know, this wasn't the a matter of fact. I know you like your little lawyer thing, you know. Let me put this one up on the screen immediately. Immediately. This thing is a very serious thing, you know. Room 202. Bring it up there for me fast. That man is sticking.
One video clip shows the man who looks a lot like a current government minister seen doing some interesting things.
Empty the cigarette.
Yeah.
Pull it.
I could do that. Because it's coming to full man and I never. They just roll it for them boys, all my boys. But you see me, I could drink rum whole day and night. If I take 2 quid, go on drink. They come with 2 quid. Anyway, separate what we want to put back inside. No, this is what these things take. What we going to take all this?
It's the English style and what are they name?
Well, right, I'm the English boy. Yeah, then.
No, aquí nos mantenemos juntos todos hombres. Entonces lo voy a mandar, ¿oíste?
Oh, that's fine. You play. So you're not being smoker. They got them that bring a man to roll it nice. Either roll that so good, you can smoke that by at least 20 different partners.
It's unknown who shot the video, when it was shot, and where exactly it was shot, but it appears to be in a hotel room. And in this shot, we can see a set of keys with a tag marked 201. TV6 News tried contacting the minister, believed to be in the video, but calls to his mobile phone went unanswered. The communications minister also could not be reached for comment. We then contacted their boss, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and she said she would not be able to comment until she saw the video.
What? Say that again?
And you're correct. There's something very bad happening. So I need to see if I can respond, okay?
Yes, okay.
I'm sure you appreciate that.
Yes, of course, yeah. Do you recall what I told you is on the video?
Please tell me again.
Do you recall what did I say was on the video?
Would you kindly respond again and tell me?
Oh, you don't. Well, I told you 4 times. You don't remember?
What can I talk? Talk to the Senate. Will you kindly send it to me?
Yes, I will, Madam Prime Minister, certainly. I'll do that in the morning.
Now this story takes us to tonight's People Meter. We ask, do you think the Prime Minister will fire another cabinet minister?
To vote, you can text yes or no to the number 4226. We'll bring you the results at the end of this newscast.
There were 3 high-profile government scandals that all occurred within the space of a little over a month from mid-March to April, resulting in 2 of the 3 ministers involved, Chandra Sharma and Glenn Ramadar Singh, vacating office. The third, Delmon Baker, has
Now, that was Anil Roberts. And at the time Anil Roberts was seen in that room, he was engaging in criminal activities. At that time, marijuana was against the law in Trinidad and Tobago. But what come out of that? What come out of that Trinidad and Tobago? But yet still Trinidad, that underneath his ministry, a $400 million corruption take place. Unfortunately, he have been freed, cleared of corruption, so to say. So to say, because the authorities cannot link it back to him. And this same gentleman had no shame at all to demit from public office. He still remain there because you know why? He want what you are disregarding here in Trinidad and Tobago, the average citizen. I ain't gonna study about no government thing. Many of you are saying that. Government don't affect us. Many of you are saying that. But yet still, to bust the biggest mark of the century, which was as a distraction, he again break the law. The Integrity in Public Life Act, chapter 28. This man went down a road that he is so desperate that anybody say anything in opposition to what Kamla Prasad Bisesa is doing and the UNC government, that the people there, Anil Roberts included, are launching scathing attacks. To do what? To bully you into submission and to gang rape you on social media. To get what? To hush you up. To get you out of thinking logically. So they engage in many attacks. That is the Honorable Minister in the Ministry of Housing, Anil Roberts, are known drunk in Trinidad and Tobago.
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah,
Nice meeting you. Enjoy your carnival.
Yeah.
And that is who you all are taking advice from. But we going down a serious road here in Trinidad, you. We going down a serious road. And at the end of the day, this video,
three people applied from one family and get 3 houses. Please answer. Did any of your family members receive selection to purchase and or rent or lease HDC properties? If so, who and when was this granted? Is your wife an owner of any other property in Trinidad and Tobago? Who owns the house at Silver Oaks in Pity Valley? Because if any of your family own any house in Trinidad and Tobago, St Vincent or...
Now this man is a minister in the ministry of housing. An honorable drunk. Use his ministry to target the St Vincent Prime Minister and his wives and children. Breaking the law. And the evidence is right before your face. Listen to the video. If you want, you could go back and watch it. We go play it back at some other time. But he would have said that he would have done an investigation and would have gotten the papers, the necessary paperwork to say here what's going on. The prime minister in the next country, his son and them buy a house in Trinidad and Tobago. He break the law initially. But what we have to examine Trinidad and Tobago is if what Anil Roberts have said is really a criminal offense. And that is where we will lead to the second part of the show. So just to solidify the point, our next video from Douglas Politics.
and coffee. The Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St Vincent and the Grenadines, you jump out. You jump out yourself. And unfortunately, you call Rowley to jump out for you too. Boss man, you should have never do that. You should have never heard Buju. Rowley come to defend you and put you further in hot water. Rowley say that it is the UNC who changed and upgraded Victoria Keys up to $2.5 to $3.5 million. And then the PNM had to change the policy to sell it. Rowley, maybe it's 2.5 million to 3.5 in value of taxpayers' dollars at Victoria Keys. Rowley, how you sell it to your friend Ralph, 6-star general, for 1.96, 1.625, and 1.3. That means the benefit to your friend and Prime Minister of St Vincent and the Grenadines, who is a PNM attacking Kamla, while his family renting to Maduro in St. Vincent. Oh Lord, thing coming out. The story just bust and thing run, men scrambling. Rowley, that means, for example, on the house that was just objectively given the opportunity for Ralph Gonsalves' son to buy, for example, at 1.96 million. That he made a substantial savings of 1.6 million, and on the one that was sold to Ralph Gonsalves' family for 1.625, that they made a savings, a benefit, an increase in value, investment value of 900,000, and the one that was rent to own to a student who work no way, and then eventually got a OJT, work under the PNM, but a student whose brother and father had to sign to say she can't pay, she's studying, but...
Now, again, Trinidad and Tobago. Information in Trinidad and Tobago have not been forthcoming because of people like them who willingly misinform the people in this country to believe things other than the truth. So to say in the least, let me get into the defense number one. I want you to understand this,
In fiscal 2018, we will step up our efforts to have all these units sold so that we can receive all the revenue possible. And very soon we'll be inviting, Madam Speaker, real estate agents to come in and assist the HDC in selling the units. In fiscal 2018, we will step up our efforts to have all these units sold so that we can receive all the revenue possible. And very soon we'll be inviting, Madam Speaker, real estate agents to come in and assist the HDC in selling the units. In fiscal 2018, we will step up our efforts to have all these units sold so that we can receive all the revenue possible. And very soon we'll be inviting, Madam Speaker, real estate agents to come in and assist the HDC in selling the units.
Now, Randall Mitchell, if you watch Randall Mitchell page, he would have went in a thorough explanation concerning this. But for the sake of time, Trinidad and Tobago, because I'm going into this second party here, you know. For the sake of time, what I will engage in here is carrying you better explanation from Rambles that would have done this thing very well.
Screen right now is Victoria Keys. What I'm seeing on screen right now is Victoria Keys. Yes, that same Victoria Keys that has been in use for the past couple of days. Yes, that one. I'm going to use this example to show you all the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Let's get into it. As all of you know, HDC's mandate is to provide low-cost housing to persons who otherwise would not be able to get a home. And Victoria Keys fell into that because according to the records, not how I feel, not my opinion, but according to the records, Victoria Keys was conceptualized back in 2005 with that mandate in mind. And as a result of that mandate, Victoria Keys was supposed to have 264 modest apartments for Trinidad and Tobago citizens under the HDC's mandate. At that time, Rowley was the Minister of Housing and Patrick Manning was the Prime Minister. The PNM lost the election in 2010, as all of you know, and sometime in 2011, under the People's Partnership, they decided to instruct HDC to enlarge the scope of Victoria Keys. So the cost of the entire project went from $250 million to $652 million when all was accounted for. And these modifications moved the housings from people who were low to middle income to the upper echelon, which is not what HDC was supposed to be about in the first place. But they were in government and they did it. Where are we in the story? The project was conceptualized in 2005. It was almost completed in 2010. Then the PNM lost the elections, the People's Partnership took over. They then modified the scope of the project that dragged it on from 2010 to 2015 when they lost the election, and the PNM reassumed office, now led by Dr. Rowley. But they had an issue. You had an HEC project that was supposed to cost $250 million taxpayers' dollars that ballooned to $652 million of taxpayers' dollars, which put these units out of the reach of what it was supposed to be for low to middle income persons. So at that point in time, the decision was taken to put the units on the open market for anybody who can afford it to buy it, to recoup some of that money that shouldn't have been spent here in the first place. The units range from $1.4 million up to $4.5 million each. Here how that was broken down. You have 3 towers. Each have a ground floor and a first floor with 48 units each. These were reserved for the rent-to-own program under HEC. So they still found a way to fit in something there. That is people who can't afford it outright, but they can rent to own going forward. The 206 units from floors 3 to 8 were the ones that were sold on the open market for between $1.4 and $4.5 million. They have 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom units. And then finally, you have 10 units that were reserved for the state. Now, all of this was and is public knowledge. They didn't sell these things in secret. It was on TV, it was in the papers, it had a big sign down the road, everybody saw it and anybody could have purchased it. But this is where this information comes in. Because out of nowhere, randomly, the UNC starts saying that Ralph Gonzalez and his wife and 3 children own 3 apartments in Victoria Keys. And they said it in a way where they deliberately didn't go into details as to how they would have acquired those properties. The disinformation was said in a way to misinform global people, and then the misinform starts spreading it, and that is where misinformation takes over and spreads. For example, what was said, and then
So Anil Roberts drop a bomb, and I want to discuss the bomb because everybody quiet and the hush culture strong and everybody mouth so. You know me and hushing. So Ralph Gonzalez, the Prime Minister of St Vincent, got caught with his pants down when he decided to bad talk Kamala Prasad's successor, and investigation started to go in because, of course, when you make people your enemies, people will start to look into you. Only to realize that his wife and his 2 children all got HDC houses in Trinidad. To date, there are over 200,000 people on the list who are qualified and haven't received houses as yet. Trinidadian citizens who have qualified, who have met the criteria to qualify for HDC houses, who have met the criteria to be able to pay and afford an HDC house and have not received it. Yet, under the PNM government, so while your family and my family, right, suffering, and we on the list, me and Robert on the list 20-something years, and the St Vincent Prime Minister, children, and a wife, each of them a house, 3 houses. Tell me if that makes sense.
the misinformed starts galloping to the finish line, thinking that they are informed, not knowing what they don't know. Meanwhile, a quick Google search will show you the evidence for at least one of those 3 apartments. And this is why, when I first opened the book and I saw that individual talking about it, I was like, this had to be nonsense. Because nothing of sense comes out of that person's mouth. Even though we live in a time where there's misinformation and disinformation, there's also valid information. You have no reason to just take whatever you see anywhere, even if I said it, and run with it. Do your own research. But some of you all like to be misled. You all like to be disinformed and misinformed. And here is where investigation comes in. We know that 10 was kept back for the state. We know that 48 in each tower went to a rent-to-own program. And we know the remainder was sold on the open market. We want to find out which of those three categories does Ralph Gonzalez and his Trinidad wife fall into, and let the chips fall where they may. If they were bought on the open market, hush your damn mouth. If it was part of the rent-to-own, which, as I know, Ralph Gonzalez's wife is a Trinidad and Tobago citizen, and HTC is for citizens of the country. If they fall into that category, again, hush them out. But if they got one of the 10 that was supposed to be for state purposes, then all of us should be making noise. But if it doesn't fall into that category, then we are just making noise for making noise sake. But you know why this distraction suddenly popped up? This is back in the news again. And that's why I keep telling many persons, Trinidad and Tobago doesn't like good governance. And this goes on both sides. They don't like good governance. They like governance of their choice. Because if you all liked good governance, people who were involved in this fiasco would have never seen the inside of the Red House ever in life again. They couldn't even sit on at all. The then Minister of Agriculture in Japan had to step down because he said he doesn't buy rice as a Minister of Agriculture. And the people in Japan was like, so you're clunging us then? It's clung to you on then. The price of rice sky high. And you just saying you don't buy rice as a minister, now you had to go, bro, had to resign. Meanwhile in TNT, where we claim to want good governance, a $440 million scandal, and it's just business as usual.
That is the reason why they have all their social media personnel on high alert. To keep you stupid and not questioning logic. That is the reason why they have them on high alert all over. Because instead of talking the truth, instead of presenting the information and as it ought to be presented, Anil Roberts vexed because Ralph Gonzalez would have spoken out on certain things that is taking place within the Caribbean and how Trinidad Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is dividing and mashing up CARICOM. So what they intend to do? What the UNC intend to do concerning Ralph Gonzalez in St Vincent? It's simple enough. I go tell you just now. But this is how misinformation is continue to progress here in my country. This is a statement that was released from Ralph Gonzalez's wife. They ain't hiding. I ain't see them hide. They ain't duck from no question. But why? A $440 million corruption that take place that cannot be even said in comparison to this bullshit that take place in Victoria Keys. And Anil Robert giving his mouth liberty instead of among the social platform and tell people about the damn $440 million that fall underneath your ministry that end up in corruption. You talking about what? Man, when we reach here in Trinidad and Tobago, boy, $440 million corruption in comparison to this that don't even fall in the ostracy where corruption by Ralph Gonzalez's wife.
Political malice has started against my family. But if the NDP gets in, it ends with you and your family. They are attacking Grace Walters viciously, and now they're lying about us. Here's the truth. While I love St. Vincent and the Grenadines with all my heart, I was born in Trinidad, and I am Trinidadian with roots in Dominica. After my then 90-year-old mother's property was destroyed in Hurricane Maria, we as a family invested in property in Trinidad, where two of my mother's sons, my brothers, and her grandchildren reside. We bought the apartments at market rate after our family suffered a tragedy. Soon these wicked men will expose a contract for an immensely qualified engineer who is building our modern hospital, which the NDP would destroy. These power-hungry people will stop at nothing to destroy all the good that SVG represents. Ask yourself, if these wicked men are willing to demonize our family, put the modern hospital at risk, and ruin our country's reputation, what would they be willing to do to you and your family if they get in?
What they are willing to do if they get in. That was Ralph Gonzalez's wife, a Trinidadian. Or you see how we does bring the facts to you here on this platform? Something that is unprecedented throughout social media anywhere. Now there are people that will hide that from the public to sow a narrative as to get you to believe in what they are saying. There are people that will hide all the information from you and cherry pick what they want, what they want you to believe. And for all those that is telling me here today on this live, I have something for you, Mike Jones. Mike Jones, I have something for you. For all of you that is saying today that yes, a wrong is a wrong, no matter where it come from, Anil Roberts, by analysis from international agencies, should have been placed behind bars. According to international standard, persuasive law, a man like Anil Roberts should have been behind bars and should have never seen the light of day. But this is the politics that we have here in Trinidad and Tobago. And again, he disrespecting the intelligence of the average citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. When it is you break the Integrity in Life Act by what? To bust a mark? Boy, Mike Jones, let me give it right here one time. Let me detonate one time for you to understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, there are people that is smarter than me and they know it better.
Anil Roberts. Did Anil Roberts break the Integrity in Public Life Act when he, bust a mark on Ralph Gonzalez? And we'll discuss the details as to why it really wasn't a mark to be busted anyway. But let me take some time to read a part of that act. And you can judge for yourself whether you believe that this is a matter for the police. Section 28 of the Public Life, the Integrity in Public Life Act states, matters of a confidential nature in the possession of persons to whom this part applies shall be kept confidential unless the performance of duty or the needs of justice strictly require otherwise, and shall remain confidential even after separation from service. Persons who must abide by this act include ministers, MPs, and members of state boards, I mentioned members of state boards because Ken Ali, I believe he is a member of a state board. I saw that he shared the documents as well. So this to me is worrisome. One, what you're seeing is information that actually pertains to the ministry under which Anil Roberts serves. He is the junior minister of housing. And now, lo and behold, you know, these confidential documents.
Now, I hope you, Trinidad and Tobago, paying attention. I hope you're paying attention. Because it wasn't just Anil Roberts alone would have engaged in a criminal act by disclosing you see people personal information, checks and all these type of things. Not only him alone, but I want to add to the list David Lyda. But I want you to pay close attention, because at the end of the day, people, not all the time that everything I go be able to explain. There are people that has do it better. So let me get back to Marsha Walker, matter of fact. Marsha Walker.
I mean, up to there are things about, you know, person's income, how much they earn, their right standing with the bank, their account numbers. You know, there's a lot of personal information that has been released. So they didn't just bust a mark. They didn't go and say, you know, they didn't go and search public documents to confirm that they do own a property at Victoria Keys. The documents that are now in the public domain, that are shared by ministers and by board members, are highly sensitive and confidential documents. Are we really okay with this? What does this do for our relationship with our CARICOM brothers and sisters? I mean, Ralph Gonzalez is a well-respected veteran in CARICOM. He is like grandfather of CARICOM. Is this really how we intend to build relationships in Caribbean and Latin America? Is this good for trade? What are we doing? Now, I'm going to put that aside for a bit, and I just want to take a little bit of time to address the facts behind all the bacchanal. It's about 2005, because in 2017, when the project was completed, when they opened Victoria Keys, and I mean, I pass Victoria Keys every day, it was said that the project went from something like 200 million. Let me get the exact figures. So it started at $250 million in 2017. Then Housing Minister would have spoken, and he said it would have been 12 years ago at that time. So the project lasted 12 years. It started at $250 million. 12 years later, it had ballooned to $652 million. And the cost of the project and the fittings and everything no longer fit under low income. If the government sold those units to low income, part of the HDC housing scheme, the government of the day would have made massive losses. So quite rightly, they decided that even though it was a state-sponsored project and it was meant initially for low-income housing and it was meant to be part of the HDC housing scheme, it was not financially sustainable to have it remain as such. And so it was now going to be sold on the open market to anyone who can afford it. Ralph Gonzalez's family, let's go through some of the figures. One of the units, they paid 1.96 million. The other unit, they paid some 1.6 million for, and well, the other unit is a rental unit. Just to put those figures in context, 1.96 is what he paid for a 2-bedroom property. Just down the road is West Hills, which is currently, so that's some 7 years later, currently selling their 3-bedroom penthouse for, I think it's 1.6 million. But it's certainly less than the 1.96, right? It might be 1.8. I think it is as low as 1.6. So that is just to show you and to give context to the figures that are being thrown around. So this is in no way a subsidized price. This is in no way a price that is way below market value. This person paid $1.96 million for a 2-bedroom apartment. I say P&M did well, if you ask me, to be honest. All right, so that's just to put that in context. We are now in 2025. And in 2018, then Housing Minister stood in Parliament and said the government is committed to selling these because they were obviously difficult to sell. I guess nobody who can afford it wants to live in anything that says it's HDC, right? So, anyways, they said they were going to hire real estate agents. So this really became an open market, free for all. Anybody who can afford it, anybody who wanted it, it was now available. In 2025, there are still available units. Because the truth is, persons who are applicants for HDC houses simply cannot afford it. So it has nothing to do with a lottery. It has nothing to do with whether Ralph Gonzalez's family was able to skip the line. The units are still available. Anybody who wants to purchase one, anyone who can afford to purchase a 1.96, I mean, there are penthouses. Those are being sold for like $4-point-something million. So if you can afford it, by all means, show up and afford it. This is not a typical HDC housing scheme. So it is nothing more than bacchanal, unnecessary bacchanal. I mean, we already being unnecessarily illegal with our whole, being complicit in Trump's bombings. Why the international? Why are we trying to break ties with our CARICOM neighbors unnecessarily? It is crazy to me. It is absolutely crazy to me. As I said, it is my opinion, but of course I think that this calls for the police or whoever it is to certainly look into Anil Roberts and, did he breach the Integrity in Public Life Act? I mean, I quoted it for y'all. He has a duty of confidentiality. He is the Minister in Housing. Is he being paid? Is he and Philip Alexander? Because, I mean, we've not seen one house key given out. And we have 3 ministers in Ministry of Housing. And the other 2 seem to just be being content creators on social media. Are they being paid to get in there and use their access to find files to bust a mark? If Ralph Gonzalez did something illegal, then those documents should have been confidentially passed on to the TTPS and to the relevant authorities to investigate it and press charges. Trinidad and Tobago, we don't want drama and bacchanal. What we don't want doubles and coffee. We want justice and jail. If persons did something wrong, send it to the relevant authorities and let's put them behind bars. I hope this has cleared it up. And I'm going to end with, Anil, can you probably clear up for us the life support issue? I mean, $8 million was spent without a cabinet note or anything. And I know you're intelligent and you can find information out. So was that story by Mark Bassant true or not?
So, Trinidad and Tobago. Somebody would have said on the live, Marsha did a great job in explaining this whole scenario. And yes, she did. And that is the reason that we would have played that in full for you to see Trinidad and Tobago. But there is a concerted efforts by the government to spew misinformation all through social media. And some of us that bring content daily are allowing ourselves to be used by the government for free and sometimes for money to spread misinformation. And this This aren't going to get us anywhere. We are not going to get anywhere with this. You see, once we don't have a sober thinking government, a government that is futuristic, is going to get these type of things that we are getting now. And we must be at least brave enough, like the people of Labre and Point 14, to say, all right, we ain't taking what we are accustomed to and choosing something else. Now, what we are accustomed to, many of us see at the time before April 28 that the UNC was the answer. But look now. Look what we are going through now. It take a rocket scientist to tell you anything different. You're seeing what taking place in the day. What you waiting for? You're waiting for at the end of the day that that the country mash up. For you to say no, I mean, come on. Come on, Trinidad and Tobago. We reached a point here that the little resource that we have, if we do not manage it well, we are going to end up in serious crisis here in Trinidad. But many of you outside there have to stop being a hypocrite. All you have to open all your eyes and see what is taking place here in this country. And stand up. Don't put personality before office. Yes, we ought to respect the Prime Minister, but in decisions like these, Trinidad and Tobago, we cannot. We must not accept things like this, no matter who is telling it to us. There are many intelligent people outside there. People we fed up our governance here in Trinidad. Because it's as if no matter where we turn, it's bad governance on both sides. But we must begin to correct this thing. It must start, the correction must start from somewhere. People like Anil Roberts must never see, he must face the law. Where you get them papers? Have you used your office to corruptly obtain these papers? Or was it through the SOE? The board members could apply for certain things without question. And that is why we warn you, Trinidad and Tobago, concerning this stinking SOE that have no results, that they keep on extending to take away your constitutional rights. And people, once you start to accept certain things, you see, reciprocity is a dangerous thing. Once you start to accept certain things from certain people and their intention have switched going further up the road, we just think it hard to say, all right, I can't take this. It's come like a man and a woman together. The man abusing the woman and the woman is hoping, still hoping that the man go change. The man come out, oh God, give my next chance and beg, and we believe them. Some of you ladies believe them. And that is what is taking place here now. UNC is abusing Trinidad and Tobago. And we are saying we, because it's a human error. We are making excuses for them. What 6 months is not enough for you to see that their intentions? It's not good. What's your actions? And at the end of the day, we having people parroting certain things all over social media without even self-thinking. I'm sorry for some of you, you know. Some of you will remain the same way until you're dead. You see in a matter of months, they destroy CPEP. They send home this one, they send home that one, and they're victimizing people on job site. They're sending people home. Why? We have serious problem within this country. And to you that are outside here, there are clowns, again, as I say, that is being Look one. Big clung. Clung number 1.
Bought 2 houses on the open market. The family bought 2 houses. The family bought 2 houses.
Yes, so my name is Stark Entertainment, and I'll be landing in St Vincent and the Grenadines within 3 days. I'll be coming to St Vincent to apply for a government free house. If Ralphie Gonzalez could do it in Trinidad, I can afford to do it in St Vincent. And if I don't get through, there are going to be some serious consequences. All right?
Clung number 1. Stuck. A next mouthpiece of the UNC. That sell his soul. And if all you want to know, you don't have to look far, you know. If all you want to know how black people, the first set of race that would have walked the earth, why they end up in slavery is watch men like them. These men is political pipers that will sell for absolutely nothing. This is the definition of a political piper, a man like Stuck. But let me go on. Big clung number 2.
For what you say next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now proudly present to you the Prime Minister of St Vincent, aka HDC, aka Apartment, aka Property Boss. These dirty dogs doing the corruption internationally, just like we own here, who just hide all the family all over the world. He hide any family in Trinidad, right? And now hear them now. Oh, we trying to influence them elections. Nobody cares about St. Vincent election in Trinidad. Trinidad people don't even know when it's St. Vincent election. So even care to try to influence it. And if the people in St. Vincent, since they say we influencing your election, if the people in St. Vincent comfortable voting for somebody who taking taxpayers' money and buying property about for the family to hide and live lavish life in Trinidad, that is them problem. No, that is trying to influence all the election. So careful what you say next time.
Now, I want you to take that into consideration very don't take that lightly. Pay attention. The narrative that they're trying to sell now, we are not trying to influence St. Vincent election. But the question here is this, Trinidad and Tobago. Have members of the UNC ever tried to influence any election, any way, any part in the world? Think. Now, big clung number 2, I'll go answer that when I come back. Big clung number 3, that appear to be a intellectual on plenty subjects, because plenty of times we listen to this guy, gentleman, you know. But he carefully not saying certain things.
Market. Why not all 3?
And his integrity.
Only bought 2 houses on the open market. Why not all 3? No one's contesting PNM's idea to sell those Victoria Keys apartments, especially after the original course spiraled out of control. The idea makes sense and it should be applauded.
Right, so if the idea makes sense, Trinidad and Tobago, and it should be applauded, why not stop the... But again, when somebody have an agenda, and when they tacitly agree with individuals, they stop right there. If it is, at the end of the day, Trinidad and Tobago, that we mustn't, I mean, the idea should be applauded. What about the actions of Anil Roberts? What about the ways and the methodology that he would have used to bring these things to the forefront? Why are you not addressing that? And people, we playing with certain people, man. We playing.
And even further explode. But why dismiss the people who believe that granting access to the rent-to-own program to a well-off family is unfair. A program that, according to the Ministry of Housing, was designed to facilitate persons who, given their current financial situation, were not able to occupy the houses through the conventional route. The family bought 2 houses on the open market. Why not all 3? Why choose a rent-to-own option and not buy all directly? Why was the rent-to-own contract approved so quickly? It all raises concerns of favoritism. And anyone who does not think the government should highlight this clearly does not understand economics. If the current...
You see again, Trinidad, you see when you see people is speaking, understand the narrative. So, my boy here is carefully saying that, you know, Ralph Gonzalez not wrong, but you're not saying Arnold Roberts wrong. So if it is Ralph Gonzalez not wrong, the narrative that is being peddled by the UNC, that is wrong. That is the thing that is wrong here. But yet still, Trinidad and Tobago, we are not allowing ourselves to be honest. And now you're going through a diatribe as to arrest the situation. These people and them is members. These are people in Trinidad and Tobago too. If you want to question the unfairness by what parameter that you are using and putting it in juxtaposition as to say, well, all right, this was unfair because look, this take place, or how much years these people, you're not hearing facts like that. You're hearing, well, I have a neighbor and she maybe take 10 years and these people take 2 years and they get through. You're not hearing things like that. You are hearing that they are creating facts out of thin air to agree with a narrative that is spun within the public domain. Bye.
When government stays silent on a controversy like this, investors would obviously see it as a red flag. The silence would signal weak governance and poor transparency. It will also suggest favoritism in public institutions. And to investors, silence and favoritism equals doubt. And so if we're serious about attracting foreign investors, exposing issues like this is not optional. It's mandatory. At the end of the day, these officials should show some compassion to the people who has been waiting forever. Don't just dismiss their concerns on this issue. They have a right to be upset.
I agree. Let's bring all the issues to the forefront. One, have Gonzalez, Ralph Gonzalez, operate corruptly? That is the question that we must answer after this. Has Arnold Roberts behaved corruptly by the means and how he acquired these papers? These are the questions that we need to bring to the forefront. But are they going to come and allow themselves to be questioned by members of the public? Question to you. Now, as we switch gears here this afternoon, I, Renison Jeffrey, are going to shift it as to say to the extent that these people on social media, how far they are taking this. Now, I would have thrown out a question from before. Has the UNC, members of the UNC, ever engaged in manipulating elections? Hold that thought. Hold up. Hold. Don't come after Renison at all. Don't come after Renison at all. Don't come. These days I can't take lash. Hold up. Save the thought before you blaspheme. This thing serious, isn't it? This thing serious. One of the highest member in the UNC party and former government minister that would have occupied one of the highest office in Trinidad and Tobago as Attorney General would have been caught trying to interfere with the election. Yes, I'm repeating that. Yes, I'm saying it. Because I hear it on TTT. I hear it from the Bolivian. And now you are going to hear it on the Workers' Rights platform.
In regional news, the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, has rejected an urgent application submitted by senior counsel Anand Ramlogan on behalf of his client, Jerry Enriquez, who is seeking to delay the upcoming March 12th elections in Belize. Mr. Ramlogan insisted that holding the election with the current voters list violates the Constitution. Late Monday evening, senior counsel Ramlogan filed for special leave to appeal to the Caribbean Court of Justice, even while the matter was still at the Court of Appeal of Belize. However, on Tuesday, the CCJ denied special leave. Senior counsel Eamon Courtney, representing the Prime Minister and the Attorney General of Belize, described Mr. Ramlogan's CCJ application as a last-ditch effort.
Saying that it was absolutely without merit. The point of the matter is this. The matter is before the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal has not even grappled with it. Yet, because it gave directions that were not to his liking in terms of timing, he thought he would go to the Caribbean Court of Justice. In my opinion, it's a clear case of what lawyers call forum shopping. If you don't like this court, you'll run the next one. And it was transparent and obvious and entirely without merit.
I know Oyo wanted to come at the Renaissance. But I hope that was informative to you, You're hearing them saying that, we're not trying to affect no election. But yet still, Trinidad and Tobago, we are getting this within the public domain. And we have to ask ourselves, Trinidad, if members of the UNC ever engage in trying to manipulate election results. Just the other day, a well-known UNC official, Ian Allen, was just the other day in Grenada doing what? Campaigning for Efran Ali. Now, I don't get my vexing because there are certain things that I could reveal concerning Ian Allen. There are many people outside here that has played sword game. The cutting on both sides of the fence. And when I say that they have no alliance to nobody, they will sacrifice you if needed. And it's up to you, the individual, to understand that there are people that don't care about you. This world is a dark and evil place. And they will never give it like this. They'll go tell you, tune off to the Workers' Rights platform. Don't listen to that. But yet still we give you all information consistently on a level that you could follow along with us and be guided. We don't come here to close off your intellect at all. You know? We here to engage you, the public, because it's with you our future resides on. We had to change Trinidad and Tobago, you know, nobody coming from outside, you know. It's Trinidadians had to change Trinidad. So you could never be my enemy. The enemy is the people that is constantly misleading you. That is my enemy, and not the individual, you know. What they're standing for. I don't hate nobody. Let me just say that at least there is one person I dislike. And I hope that she rot in hell. But I just the nature talking, Father Lord, I forgive everybody. So this morning, we would have obtained this video from the Ground Report program. And listen to the context, and you tell me if the UNC is not trying to affect election.
After the program, let me wrap up this thing, because we need to make bookings. And I had a book for we had a book for 4. But if we can get through with 4, 3 go, we might just have to rotate the camera. Okay? Only remember what we do in Tobago? Only remember when the team went to Tobago? For the Tobago elections? It was hot in the air. St Vincent elections is hot in the air. And if the mountain can't come to us, we're gonna go to the mountains. Bang, bang, bang. What went on when we went to Tobago? Was it a clean sweep? What will go on when we touch down in St Vincent? Bye-bye, Rowley friend. Bye-bye, Rowley friend. Bye-bye. So I look forward to your calls after the program. Come on now, man, all here. Oh, God, there's a serious thing. I don't like to beg, publicly so, but it's for a good cause. We're trying to get you with 4 tickets in order to host our program across there and to execute what we're going there to do sufficiently and efficiently. And all 3 of us must be seen by you all, with a director handling the stories, setting up the lives, and doing what they have to do. Okay, Trinidad and Tobago? So until Monday morning, please God, same time, same place. You all could have choose anywhere else or any other program to look onto. You all choose the Ground Report.
Is the UNC trying to interfere with the election in St. Vincent? If that question in answer by you, if you're in answer, if you refuse to answer that question at this point in time, something wrong. Something wrong. And you know, to go into a little more context concerning if they will ever engage in trying to interfere with elections. let me go into the thing a little more deep. So you ain't gonna have one example, you will have many, a plethora of examples that you, Trinidad and Tobago, could understand. And it will be undeniable. That is why we just do things so. That it cannot be questioned underneath a certain order.
Pleased for the Attorney General who we represented in successfully resisting the claim brought by Mr. Enriquez. As you know, the attempt was to, in effect, stop the elections, which have been now scheduled for the 12th of March, 2025. I think that the judge listened very carefully to the parties, read tons of submissions that were filed by the parties, and came to the right decision. Just by way of reminder, Isani, this happened 4 years ago, 4 years plus, when the Belize Peace Movement tried to stop the elections in 2020, and Madam Justice Arana, as she then was, I believe she may have been the acting Chief Justice at the time, refused the application. So it is history repeating itself. I think there are a few things. The first is that there is no case that we have found, and none was presented to the court, where a court has ever intervened and stopped an election. Secondly, there was a number of cases from the Caribbean that we put before the judge that shows that once Parliament has been dissolved, the election must continue, and any difference, any issue you have is taken up after the election. What is surprising to me is that Mr. Ramlogan, who represented Mr. Enriquez, had written a document to the court saying that if Parliament is dissolved, the court has no jurisdiction. Yet when the matter was called up before the judge, he changed that document and put another one and deleted that paragraph. So I had to point out to the judge that Mr. Ramlogan was not being frank with the court, because he knows what the law is, and we listened to him for 4 long, painful hours, go on and on without admitting to the court that the court had no jurisdiction. And so we submitted to the court, relying on decided cases, that once Parliament is dissolved, the case must continue and you take it up afterwards.
Now, the question there is easy to answer. The UNC party have been already, they have a history of interfering with elections. Members of the UNC. So it is of no surprise to me whatsoever that people are starting to call it for what it is. This attack on Ralph Gonzalez. They are really trying to interfere with St Vincent election. Heaven help us all. Let me go into to this next part so we could make the distinction lucidly clear. Next part of the interview.
I was a little disappointed, but not surprised, given the intensity at which we had to carry this whole case to court.
So what happens next?
Well, we're planning on appealing this case. I do not think it was, I think it is something that we need to do in order to ensure that we have a clear balance in our electoral divisions.
But you all entered this asking for the interim relief of really stopping the election train, which is already in process.
You hear that? So it is undeniable. It is undeniable the action of Ramlogan was engaging in trying to stop an election in Belize. So it is clear, Trinidad and Tobago, without contradiction, that the UNC engage in these type of behavior. So when people are saying that they are trying to interfere with St. Vincent election, the people have came to a logical conclusion based on the history of the UNC And I could bring history after history coming from Tobago. For several times, they tried to penetrate Tobago. But they get through it Fali. And if Fali want to be truthful to himself, he must now come out and confess to the people of Tobago that he would have sold out and he would have had a change of heart. He need to confess. The Bible says, if it is you say you love God and you hate your brother and your sister, who you could see with this naked eye, and it's saying, well, I hate my brother, but I love God, the Bible is saying, God is saying that you are a liar and the truth is not within you. How you could say you could love a God who you ain't see and hate a brother that you see? Tobago CPEP program and European program running like normal. But you comfortable, Fali. You comfortable. With over 20,000 people on the breadline. And all you could say to the people at Tobago, they ain't cutting we program over here. How somehow you could stand with that? I mean, it's survival of the fittest here. You eat, you hush your mouth. But at the end of the day, that is traits of a wicked leader. Solomon, on the first act in being king, a lady would have sleep on her child and kill it. It dead. Thief get up in the middle of the night, thief the next person's child. And say that she owned when she get up, the case come before Solomon and the fighting. He draw his sword. He say, boy, I go and cut it in half, I go give this one half and next one half. The true mother of the child said, no, she can't bear it. She can't bear it. Give the lady it. And Solomon say, boy, this is your child. Take it. It's not Trinidad, you know. It's Trinidad and Tobago. We are brothers and sisters here. And if Fali, Augustine, want to accept the factor that Kamla Prasad Bisesa could close down CPEP, European forestry in Trinidad, and comfortable in getting a budget to run Tobago affairs and run the same program that was closed down here in Trinidad and Tobago, heaven help us all in this country. Any union leader, Roger, and he said, all of them, the whole of JTAM, stand up and watch this. If any one of you all could support these people going forward, heaven help us all. These people is not just union members. These people was union leaders. These people was the eyes, the head of the movement. And at the end of the day, so much of people lost their jobs. And are taking particular aim at you, Fali. Yes, a disgrace to stand up and watch this. Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension the Caribbean, we are sure that the UNC government is engaging to interfere with St Vincent election, and they would have engineered in Trinidad and Tobago, put things in place to take away our rights. We are convinced convinced that is taking place in this country, what you are going to do. And when I say that, I say all, I ain't playing no game here with you all this evening. I ain't gonna go back into the rest of commentary. At this point in time, according to Slimy, on the chat, he would have said we need volunteers. Sign up on the workers' rights website, www.workersrights868.com. Volunteer service. Yes, we need researchers. We need people who will dedicate their service no matter what. We need fighters. We need presenters. We need people here that is able to divulge the truth unapologetically, unbiasedly. And I am calling on you, the members of the public, to those that are listening. We have to fight for this country. We have to fight for it, or watch it fall apart. No among the threats must deter you. We must fight forward. And when I say that, I say all. I hope that you get the message here today and we engage further going forward within the future. My name is Renison Jeffrey. This is the Workers' Rights Platform. People, you are hearing the call. You are seeing what is taking place with us here in Trinidad. You are seeing what is going on. There are people that die by ignoring the early signs of what is taking place. We are galloping into a dictatorship in this country. We are seeing them trying to shut down and gerrymander social media. We are seeing them killing our brothers and sisters, paying them on the poverty line, on the bread line, and telling us to hush our mouth. It's the same thing, people, that end up, that take place within these concentration camps. People watch their families walk into gas chamber. Don't let this happen to us here in Trinidad. If one could withstand them, two of us could withhold them. It's nothing to say that you was wrong. You make a mistake. Now it's time for us to move on. Join us on the Workers' Rights website. It is broadcasted now, www.workersrights868.com. Join us on the Workers' Rights website. Sign up to be a volunteer. Whatever skill, profession that you have dedicated to Trinidad and Tobago, to saving Trinidad and Tobago. And thanks for watching, and to the many of you that are on the live on such short notice, thank you for being there. And again, I know when I'm going to be back out, a little underneath the weather. But thanks for watching. I couldn't just sit back and watch the narrative be peddled within a particular direction, and I know that it is wrong. Thanks for watching Trinidad and Tobago.
once said, "The past is in your head, but the future is in your hands." You can either keep whining and be a pathetic loser, or you can be a G and become the most successful person your bloodline has ever seen. Don't call me lucky. I failed more times than you tried. Venom once said, "The past is in your head, but the future is in your hands." You can either keep whining and be a pathetic loser, or you can be a G and become the most successful person your bloodline has ever seen. Don't call me lucky. I failed more times than you tried. Venom once said, "The past is in your head, but the future is in your hands."
My name is Venison Jeffrey. Now, many a times, sometimes when my mind is filled, and sometimes, I need encouragement and rest, because there are many people, they are givers and they are takers. Most of the times, what we do, we encounter many takers. Who does fill us up when we are empty? Sometimes no one. Most of the time, we just have to draw on strength from within, deep within. And every time I end up in a situation, I remember this verse, and I'll go on a beach. And this scriptures is it. This is the verse I'm at for. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters, He restored my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff may comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. And to you, the people that are listening to this, don't give up. Pray. Your blessing is on the way. Don't give up. Your blessing is on the way.